there are more questions than there are answers about this whole new world. And it seems to me like just like you could use it for good, clearly there'll be so many more doors of evil, many more khutwat al-shaitan on the horizon. So with that in mind, what would you say are the risks of this new world of Web3 for Muslims specifically?
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely several risks, and if we're saying specifically for Muslims, I mean, one of the problems that whatever affects the non-Muslim society, the society in general, is going to affect Muslims as well, right? So these are general harms. But if we're saying, okay, well, some things Muslims are not as prone to, hopefully, there's some things which are there across the board. So one of the biggest things that I think I'm very concerned about is people preferring this artificial life and this escapism that's always been there, but it's going to be enhanced. So since the introduction of novels, people were reading books, they would get lost in a book. Since we had headphones introduced, people would sit there and like be listening to music all day, and they don't want to talk to people. I went through a phase in my own life like that. Like, I'd rather just have like background noise listening to a song than interacting with other people. There's going to be people get stuck in video games. Even the old like original Nintendo system, people would get addicted to that. They wouldn't want to leave that, playing that game. Same thing with movie theaters and all that. But what's going to happen is there's going to be a greater desire for getting stuck in that world. You won't want to come back to reality as much when you can just remain in that virtual world. So if you're in the metaverse and you look so cool and your avatar is looking awesome, and you don't have to worry about actually doing your hair or anything like that, you can talk to people. Getting stuck in there, I think, is one of the biggest concerns that we should have as Muslims, because when we lose real life interaction and we lose the desire of wanting to be in this dunya that Allah has placed us in to test us, but then we want to escape and live in an alternative reality, that's going to definitely affect our real reality when we do have to return back to life. So that's... How
does it affect us? I mean, how would it affect that real reality?
One, it's gonna make everything seem boring, and that's part of the problem we're already experiencing today. People are they're seeing like the either short clips, they're losing their attention span. So like nowadays, if you just compare it to 15 years ago, people can't sit through a 30-minute class, let alone an hour class. So they get bored because they're used to seeing YouTube shorts. They're used to reading something very small, short on Twitter. They're used to seeing a very short TikTok clip, and now their mind just can't focus anymore. So you speak, the khutbah is like 20 minutes. It's like too long. So I'm zoning out. So what's going to happen is that's already there. But this is going to make it worse. It's going to exacerbate the situation even more, because when you're in an immersive reality now, the physical effects and the psychological effects that we're already seeing from our current technology is going to be enhanced even more. So there's going to be that desire for not returning to reality. There's going to be that difficulty focusing, paying attention to anything. It's going to be difficulty with social interaction. You're used to interacting with people socially. You're used to seeing them in their avatar. And now you're like, oh man, I could interact with your avatar, but interacting with like you, the way that you actually look and, the way in which you're behaving, that's just, it's a challenge. And now it's going to be difficult for people to really, interact with each other and hold conversations or something like that. And, I think that's going to be exacerbated. So those are, that's one of the harms. There's...
Yeah, I want to hear more of them, please, because for me, we need to know these things. Like, and this is on the horizon. You mentioned that we're already using some of these technologies. I do have a feeling that this is going to come much quicker than we anticipated.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. The other thing is going to be privacy and security risks. Basically, the more information a company or somebody knows about you, the more services you sign up for, it's going to know everything from, your style of speaking, your voice, the type of language that you use. It's going to know everything about your personal data, your preferences, your preference of even what you look at. So now it's like there's some data is some level of data is not being captured. So every time you drive somewhere, if I drive to work, the data is already captured, that they know I go to work at this time, I stay this long, and when I search on Yelp, these are the type of restaurants that I look for. But the amount of data that people are going to have on us now, it's going to be able to predict the smallest little things. What kind of things do you look at? How many seconds do you stare at that thing in the virtual world? What kind of people do you like interacting with? What kind of avatars are you interested in, or attracted to, or want to interact with, or whatever it is. So that data and that privacy is definitely gonna be another concern that we're gonna have. So I think these are probably the two biggest concerns. And then you got your typical concerns about regulating free speech. What are you allowed to say? You're gonna another, like everything's gonna be enhanced. So you have like cyberbullying taking place today. So if someone comes and posts a comment on your social media and says, like, why don't you go kill yourself, or you're this, or you're ugly, or something like that, that affects some people to a very great extent right now. Now imagine if you have a virtual bully coming up to you and doing the same thing in a completely immersive experience.
Yeah, that's decentralized with no rules, and it's scary.
Exactly. So the enhancement is there, and then it's decentralized. You're supposed to have some rules. You're supposed to have some level of limitation, right? Because debatable to what extent. So that's definitely another one of the concerns that we have to be careful about.